Hi guys, it is April from Getting Huggy with It. Today is round 7 of Konmari with me. We are decluttering my bookcases. I'm doing it. Whatever sparks joy can stay, anything else has got to go. So let's get into it. I have been on a roll with this whole decluttering business. It is hard when it comes to your books. If any of you have done the Konmari method with your home, I'm sure for you as well, books is like the hard part. And I have been binging, buying books like crazy, as you very well know. And it's no longer sparking me joy. Like when I go to my bookshelves, I'll insert a little picture of it. It's a mess. Like it's not pretty. So basically what I'm doing in this little series is going through my bookcases, like the shelves one by one, and I have to like majorly declutter as best I can. So the rule is I need to dwindle the shelves down to like 20 books. 20 books max, that's the limit. Although if I do go over, I can go over to my limbo shelf and declutter books from over there. So that's the other part of this, is that I can allow myself to keep 2 books and put them on my limbo shelf. I'm just not sure about them. I'm not like ready to part with them. I'm not ready to read them. I can put them on my limbo shelf and see what happens to the limbo shelf later. Today, we're going through thrillers, more thrillers, and I think a little bit of horror. But this shelf is honestly quite small. It's only 17 books, so I'm already under the 20 book max, so there's no insane pressure. But at the same time, I want to go through and see what I want to keep and what I don't. So here we go. First up is Still Missing by Chevy Stevens. This is about a woman, I think she's a real estate agent. She's abducted and taken into the mountains. And it follows her, I think, during that time, and then also it follows her, I think, afterwards. I could be mistaken about that. This definitely sparks joy. I do feel really unfortunate, unhappy, I should say, about this cover. It's a library copy, and I don't like those at all. If I see this at a store or at a used book sale, I'll be picking up a new version. But I really do want to read this because it sounds creepy and scary and, you know, right up my alley. Next up is A Simple Favor by Darcy Belle. This was recently turned into a movie with Blake Lively and someone else I can't remember the name of. This is about 2 women who have this friendship. One of them seems to have it all, and the other one is quite jealous, I think. One day, the one who seems to have it all asks the other one, Stephanie, to go and pick up her son at school. She does, and then her friend goes missing. It sounds interesting. However, I think I've read books like this before. The premise of it just feels super familiar, and honestly, I think I just want to watch the movie and not bother with the book. I know that's terrible. I'm not supposed to say that as a reader, but I think I'm just gonna part with this one. I feel like this one's a controversial one. All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker. This is about a girl who is raped. Her parents decide to give her a drug that will make her pretty much forget it. However, she's still walking around with this emotional memory of it, and she's struggling with that. To me, it just sounds really fascinating, and I've never read anything like this before, so I would like to keep this for sure because it just intrigues me, so I need to keep that one. Oh, here's a horror. The Haunting of Maddie Clare by Simone St. James. I'm totally keeping this one. This follows a woman who assists a man as a ghost hunter, and she goes to this home where there's a barn, And there was a maid there named Maddie Claire, who at 19 committed suicide in the barn, and she haunts the barn. She also hates men, and so she really connects with this woman who is there as like a sidekick to this ghost hunter, and it sounds really, really fun, and I'm totally keeping this. Next is The Marriage Lie by Kimberly Belle. This is about a couple. Now, domestic thrillers aren't usually my thing. However, it's about a couple. Everything seems to be good, except one day this woman finds out that her husband was on this plane that went down. Well, he wasn't supposed to be on the plane at all. She doesn't know anything about him at this point. She's like, who is this man? And it just gives me it kind of gives me Pretty Girl vibes, or Pretty Girls, by Karen Slaughter. And I don't know if this is going to be as like violent as that, or as twisted as that, but I'm curious about it. I think I'm going to put this on my limbo pile. Next up is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This is about a group of friends. A body is discovered, and there is this link between the victim and an ex-boyfriend who is now thought to be a serial killer. And you follow this group of friends trying to figure out what's happened. It does sound interesting. I'm going to put this on the limbo pile too, because I've just never been super eager to read it, but it does intrigue me. So limbo pile it goes. Next up is Friend Request by Laura Marshall. This is about a woman who receives a friend request from a dead woman. This woman had died years and years ago, and yet she gets this request. It's just not calling out to me in any way, so I'm going to get rid of this and pass this along to someone who might like it more than me. This is a book I'm totally keeping. Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is about a woman who wakes up or is aware of her surroundings in a coma. All she knows is that someone put her there. She believes it was her husband or maybe her sister. And guess who's around her? How creepy is that? I'm keeping it. Yes, it has to go down. A Head Full of Ghosts is up next. This is a horror book by Paul Tremblay. Paul Tremblay is my favorite horror author. And this is a possession story that is so creepy. You read it from the perspective of the little sister. Her big sister is potentially possessed, and it is sometimes terrifying. There's a scene in here of the big sister whispering into the ear of her little sister, and I got chills. It was terrifying. It is staying. Another terrifying one, The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. This is a haunted house story. Every single summer I say I'm going to read this again this summer, so obviously I'm keeping this because this calls for a thunderstorm, and it calls for you to read it during a thunderstorm. It's about this man who goes to this home because the owner has died, and he's there to kind of go through her possessions and kind of assess the house. He gets stuck there overnight, and it is creepy. It is a haunted house story, and I really loved it, so I'm going to keep that. Within These Walls is another haunted house story by Anya Alborn. I feel really sad that this is like a library copy. It's kind of ugly looking, but the story itself sounds fantastic. This is about a true crime writer that is not doing well, like in marriage, not doing well. His career isn't doing well. He decides to go and stay at the house where a cult leader and mass murderer, I think he like lived there with all of these people who were in his cult, and I think he killed them all. And he has this relationship with this man. I think he's writing a book or something about him. And then stuff starts happening at the house. Julie from A Girl in a Book said this was amazing, so I'm totally keeping it. I'm ready to be scared. It has to stay. Even though it's ugly. I know it's ugly, but maybe I can get a better copy of it at some point. Ah. Karen Slaughter, Pieces of Her. I feel like, am I weird that I just went, ah, like it's a heartwarming thing. Karen Slaughter, ah. There's nothing heartwarming about Karen Slaughter's writing. She is like brutal. She is so graphic. But yeah, she writes kick-ass thrillers. And this one is about a mother and daughter who go to the mall one day. There is a shooter at the mall, and the mom just suddenly like kicks into overdrive and takes him down. And it's weird because this is very unlike the mom. This is not in her character. And you kind of dive into their storylines. So good. I really liked it. I know some people felt hit or miss about it, but I liked it, so I'm keeping that. Next up is Out. And it just sounds like so much fun. This is about a woman who asks her coworkers to help her cover up a crime that she committed. The crime is murder. They have to help her to like hide the body. It just sounds like so much fun. So I'm definitely keeping that one. Next is The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. This is about a group of friends who went through something major, I think in their teenage years. Years later, one of them gets a text, "I need you." They know right away what to do, and they like band together. But it all kind of reveals this big crime that I think they tried to cover up or something years and years ago. It sounds really interesting. It is Ruth Ware, which I feel about. I'm gonna put this on limbo, I think. Okay, next up is Snowblind by Christopher Golden. This is about a blizzard that kind of takes over this town, and people there are really mourning the deaths of these boys. I think there's been a string of murder. It sounds interesting. However, I just looked inside. There's a detective. I just can't do detectives. I don't like them, so I'm gonna pass that on. Ghostly. This is a collection of ghost stories, and that's kind of all I need to know. It's a collection of ghost stories, and maybe for Halloween I'll read like a short story every day for the month of October. I think that might be nice to do to celebrate the season, so I'm keeping that. And last up is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. Still one of the most beautiful covers I own. Oh, this is about a woman who is like just recently married and just recently widowed. And as luck would have it, she's also pregnant. So she moves to the home that her husband had intended for them to live. And once she gets there, no one's very nice to her. Like really, no one is nice to her. And there are these very large figures that she finds. They're the Silent Companions. One of them looks exactly like her. And creepy stuff starts happening around the house. I really, really enjoyed this book, so I'm definitely keeping it. So far, I've gotten rid of 3 books off of my shelf that will go to the donate pile, go to a library, and I've got 3 on my limbo shelf. I think I'm going to move one over to my keep shelf. So we've got The Marriage Lie, Jar of Hearts, and also The Lying Game. There's something about The Marriage Lie that's super curious to me. I'm curious about it. So I'm going to put this on my keep shelf. And now these 2, Jar of Hearts and The Lying Game, will join my limbo shelf. And we'll see if they survive throughout this whole process. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should have put something else on the limbo shelf or should have gotten rid of other books. I would love to know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. No spoilers, please. I will talk with you guys soon. Okay, bye.